For a lot of people, Smash Ultimate's Quickplay is the easiest way to play Smash Bros nowadays. And the greatest achievement that you can earn in Quickplay is getting Elite Smash. This is earned by succeeding with a fighter of your choice, raising your power level, and ascending to Elite Smash, where the best Smash players fight for honor. Which raises one very simple question.
Why aren't I in it? Come on.
Back in spring, I was trying to grind my first and favorite character, Ness, to Elite Smash. But honestly, it wasn't going very well.
Mr. Game & Watch!
And because I could never get into Elite Smash, the question popped into my mind. Maybe I just needed to try another character. And if so, who? So I set out to find which character performed best in online Quickplay. This question isn't that straightforward to answer, and is a little bit more interesting than you'd think. Characters that do well at in-person tournaments may actually struggle online with increased latency, and the level of play in online Quickplay is much lower than the level of play at online tournaments. I wanted direct Quickplay results, and unfortunately, Nintendo hides this data from everyone but themselves. But there is one place that you can see other players' data, in Spectate mode. In this mode, you watch other players fight, and before the fight, there's a screen that looks like this. This is the only place that Nintendo shares raw data about Quickplay results. On a mission to find a new main and get into Elite Smash for the first time, I sat down and watched over 30,000 matches. And this is what I found. You may be wondering, why 30,000 matches? Well, from my estimates, 30,000 matches will give me 100,000 players worth of data. I pretty quickly realized that watching each match all the way through wasn't very realistic. And it wasn't for a lack of compelling gameplay, but rather watching each match would average out to about 4 minutes per data point, which would take upwards of 83 days. But what I found is that if you quit out before the match starts and then join back in, it'll force a new match to show with a new data screen. Fully optimized, each data screen will only take 12 seconds, 4 days total to gather the data. I connected my Switch to my laptop and wrote a script that would take a screenshot on this screen and then again on this screen. This let me just press A and B on the controller while doing other stuff. And as fun as it seems to just keep doing this, if I wasn't recording data while I slept, it would
skew the data.
So, with the help of a few Switch hacking subreddits and a failed motor prototype, I rigged a Raspberry Pi to act as a Joy-Con so that I could automate the entire process and use my hands for other things. Then I made one more script to rip the data from all the screenshots into a spreadsheet. And that meant there was only one thing left to do. In the background here, you can see how the population of online changes over the course of a 24-hour cycle. You can see how much of the average population is made up by each nationality. Almost half of all players live in the United States. But at its peak, around 7 in the morning Eastern Time, Japan made up over 70% of all online players. In total, I found 39 different countries. One thing that was clear right away was that one character was by far the most popular. Ganon has almost the full percentage point lead over the next most popular character, and is over 3% more popular than the average character in the game. It's absurd. I think the easiest way to break this down is by putting it up like this. I don't think any of these really come as a shock, but I do think it's interesting the difference between first and last. Ganon has a play rate of 4.46, which is about 1 in every 22 players, whereas Duck Hunt and Sheik have a play rate of 0.28, which is 1 in every 350 players. Now moving on to our first major character stat, we have average GSP. GSP is a weird ranking system, but that's a story for another day. So for now, you can just think of this as average rank. So let's first take a look at the character that averages the lowest rank in online quick play. Pikachu. At first, this seems wrong, because Pikachu is widely regarded as being one of the best characters right now. Let's just ignore that for a second, and focus on the characters that are doing well. And right at the top is Zelda. And although I could break down where every character ranked in here, I was just excited to get to Elite Smash with the highest rated character. After some promise at the start, I crashed back down to earth with Zelda and ended up with a pretty average GSP. But that's okay. I realized that just looking at average GSP might not be enough to really tell what characters are doing the best. When I started to look at the entire dataset, the first thing I noticed was something weird about the win ratios. If you're to plot the GSP versus the win ratio, you can expect to see something like this, with high-ranked players winning more than low-ranked players. But in reality, the graph looks like this. Although this data may seem flawed at first, it becomes clear that there's only a set of win rates that occur frequently, and they all correlate to a win rate over the last 15 games. We can also show that the arrows are the last 4 games. And you may ask, what about those other random points that were just floating around? All of them correlate to a record of someone who has played less than 15 games. If we set the threshold for minimum games played at 15, then we can remove these points from our dataset, which will help us minimize randomness in the results. It is worth noting that some win rates can have more than one record, but this is the best we can do here. Because average win rate is really how well did your last 15 games go, you can actually split up the data into skill divisions. So this section is comprised of low-rated players, and this section is comprised of high-rated players. Then we can actually focus on the two extreme ends of low skill and high skill to get a glimpse at what a character's potential is and what the floor for that character is. And to show why this distinction is important, let's look at Wii Fit Trainer. She is the 3rd highest overall win rate, and the 1st highest overall win rate amongst bottom 25% players, but only the 56th highest win rate amongst top 25% players. This is a huge distinction that I didn't think could be overlooked. So instead, I'm going to use a metric that I'll call a skill envelope. The fighters that do best at this should be the best mix of easy to play with a high potential. Characters like Palutena, Yoshi, and Snake excel under this metric, but one character is clearly the most dominant. Just as I expected, I was tearing it up at the low skill range. And then when I got to the high skill range, so much worse. It was a little painful. So that was my second failed attempt at a new character. And after that, I realized that looking at any one metric by itself wasn't going to cut it. Up to this point, I have found the average GSP and the skill envelope for every fighter on the roster. I also computed the Elite Smash likelihood, which was how much of their population showed up in the Elite Smash threshold. So to find the best overall performer in online quick play, I combined all 3 of these together to create the Just Online Help numeric score.
Please, no Johns.
The John score was scaled from 0 to 10, and starting right at the bottom, is Mii Sword Fighter. With a John score of 0.42, he has the worst overall stats in online Quickplay. Pikachu and Mario show up in this lowest tier. The first character in C tier is Byleth with a John score of 2.63. In C tier, fighters like Joker and our most popular character, Ganon, show up. From here on out, characters generally excel in one category or another, such as Fox with a John score of 5.09 but 18th in skill envelope. Characters like Inkling, who had our 4th highest Elite Smash percentage, and Palutena, who had our 3rd highest skill envelope, show up here. Characters in A tier generally excel in more than one category. Terry, the lowest A tier entrant at exactly 7, excels in both skill envelope and average GSP. In A tier, we find our highest skill envelope character in Rob, and both Samus and Dark Samus. And in S tier, are only the true juggernauts of online Quickplay. 4th overall was our highest GSP character in Zelda, with a John score of 8.67. In 3rd place, we have Banjo-Kazooie with a John score of 8.84 and top 10 in 2 categories, just missing the top spot. With our first John score over 9 is Wii Fit Trainer, who actually had the highest Elite Smash representation out of any fighter. But our highest rated fighter with a John score of 9.21 is Yoshi. Yoshi excelled in every single category and is our top ranking fighter, the chosen one to take me to Elite Smash. And I won't even bore you with the gameplay footage. I wasn't doing that well with Yoshi. And that's when I started to see what was really going on. I measured the online Quickplay performance of every single character in the game. And although I found the best performing characters, I didn't know what made them the best. So instead of looking at what fighters were doing well, I set out to collect as much data as possible on the fighters' characteristics. Their weight, their walk speed, their grab range. How many projectiles did they have? I tried to peel back the curtain and figure out what made a fighter good at online Quickplay. And here's what I found. The first are back moves that kill early. So this means that characters that have a back throw or back air that kill at an early percentage performed significantly better than other characters. The second is vertical recovery height. So characters that have strong recovery abilities, especially from far off stage, way outperformed characters that had weak vertical recovery. And finally, the most significant predictor of online Quickplay success was simply projectile count. Characters that had a higher projectile count are expected to perform better online. It's so significant that for every extra projectile a character had, they were expected to increase their average GSP by almost 100,000. Now, when we go back to look at Pikachu, there's a trait that performs significantly worse online than in person, and that trait is speed. Fast characters, most relevantly those with a high initial dash speed, perform significantly worse than other characters who are slower online. Is Pikachu's quickness the reason that he struggles so much in Quickplay? Or is player skill not high enough to control fast characters? And it could even be another factor that I haven't identified yet. At this point, I was kind of disappointed that I never got to Elite Smash after putting in all this work. But there was one takeaway that I hadn't really considered yet. If we circle back to the beginning for a second, and we look at these points of fighters that have played less than 15 games, one thing really stands out about them. Collectively, they have a win rate between 27 and 35%, whereas every other point, the players who have more than 15 games played have a collective win rate of 47%. And there was one character that I had by far the most games played with. Maybe I was in the right place all along.
You fool! You have fallen for the Ness Gambit!
2 seconds later.
Oh, finally! Oh, I did it! I did it! Oh my god. I'm shaking. Oh my god, I did it. I finally did it! I did it! Let me explain what happened here. Playing each of those other characters taught me something new about the game. But when I failed with them or got bored, I would go back and play the character that I enjoyed the most. Some characters definitely do have an advantage online, and there are way more factors than just what I covered in this video. But there was someone out there on every single character in the game who was excelling in online quick play. So when it comes to my original goal of finding a new main, maybe the most important thing is finding a character that you enjoy playing enough that you'll play them over 1,000 times if needed in order to master them. And if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching.